Over the past 25 years, I've installed hundreds of landscapes, and perhaps the question that I get asked most is, Dr. Warren, what can I plant to attract hummingbirds? And most of the advice I see out there is incomplete at best and dead wrong at worst. People will tell you, just hang a feeder and put some red dye and sugar water in it. And I understand that thought process completely, but the feeders require constant cleaning. The sugar water goes bad in the heat, and honestly, you're doing the work instead of letting the plants do the work for you. After 25 years in the green industry and a PhD in plant sciences, I can tell you one thing, that the right perennials will bring hummingbirds to your yard year after year with almost no maintenance on your part. You plant them once and they come back bigger and better every single season. Now, a couple of plants on this list may surprise you because they're shade plants, and oftentimes we don't think of shade plants as hummingbird attractors. And I'm going to be honest with you about some plants that other videos won't tell you about, like which butterfly bush varieties are actually safe to plant, and why one of the most popular hummingbird attractor plants is not technically a perennial for most of the country. Hi, my name is Dr. Tom Warren, and you're watching The Plant Doctor. Let's get into it. Number one on our list is red hot poker, or Nephophia uvaria. And I'm starting with this one for a reason, because when you see this plant in full bloom, you understand exactly why hummingbirds love it. Those tall, torch-like flower spikes in shades of red, orange, and yellow are essentially a neon sign that says, hey, free nectar. And every hummingbird from a half a mile away will come to visit this flower. The tubular flower shape is exactly what hummingbird bills are designed for. And here's what I really love about red hot poker. It blooms in mid to late summer, peak season for hummingbirds in most of the country. Red hot pokers prefer full sun, well-drained soils, and is hardy in zones USDA 5 through 9. I've had clients tell me that they sit on their back porch every evening and watch the hummingbirds fight over these flowers. That's the kind of show you cannot put a price tag on. Number two on the list, coral bells or heuchera. And here's where things get interesting, because when people think about hummingbird plants, they think big, bright, full sun plants. But heuchera grows in shade. Coral bells have tiny, delicate, bell-shaped flowers that sit on tall, wiry stems above the foliage. Hummingbirds absolutely zero in on them. Here's what most people do not realize about coral bells. Coral bells are grown primarily for their foliage. You've seen them at the nursery, purple leaves, amber leaves, silver leaves, but the flowers which appear in late spring to early summer are a hummingbird magnet. And because this plant handles shade, it gives you a great option for the north-facing side of your house or the wooded areas in your yard where you think maybe I cannot attract a hummingbird. Coral bells have very tiny flowers, but they produce copious amounts of them. However, hummingbirds have fantastic vision. They will find these flowers as long as you provide them. Number three on the list is Salvia. In particular, the cultivar Salvia May Night. And if you've watched some of my other videos, you know that I talk about Salvia a lot. And there's a reason for that, because Salvia is a plant that definitely earns its keep in the landscape, especially when attracting hummingbirds. The cultivar May Night in particular has purple flowers, and hummingbirds are drawn to it like nothing else. I've seen this play out time and time again over my 25 years in the landscape industry. You put a Salvia May Night in your garden, and within days, you'll have hummingbirds visiting the plant throughout the day repeatedly. Full sun, well-drained soils, and it blooms from early summer all the way to first frost. That means you're providing nectar for the hummingbirds for their upcoming migration, not just for a 2 or 3 week period. Number four on our list is daylilies from the genus Hummingbirds, in particular, red daylilies. The reason I specify red daylilies is that hummingbirds' visual spectrum is naturally shifted so that they see red extremely well. Now, I want to be honest with you about daylilies. Each individual flower only lasts one day. That's where the name Hummingbirds comes from, beauty for a day. But a mature daylily clump produces dozens of buds that open sequentially over several weeks. So you get a sustained bloom period, even though each flower is very short-lived. And here's what I really love about daylilies. They are practically indestructible. No maintenance, no irrigation, no care. Full sun, any soil type, USDA zones 3 through 9. If you're a beginning gardener and wanting to attract some hummingbirds to your property, you may want to start with a red daylily. Number 5 on the list, and this one surprises a lot of people, hostas. Yes, those shade-loving plants, hostas. But let me tell you something, those tall flower stalks that shoot up above the leaves midsummer, those bell-shaped lavender to white flowers, hummingbirds love them. I've had clients tell me that they've had hostas for 20 years and have always enjoyed the foliage. And then one day they realized that hummingbirds were hovering around the flowers of their hosta plants. For decades, hostas have been marketed for their foliage, and I understand that completely. But I'm here to make the argument that we should also enjoy them for their flowers. Here's a pro tip for you. If you're selecting hostas for hummingbirds, choose a cultivar that has large, opened, bell-shaped flowers as opposed to a cultivar that has smaller, more compact flowers. The more open flowers ensure that hummingbirds can actually access the nectar deep down inside. If you hadn't hit that like button, go ahead and do it. It helps other people find this video that need this information. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. I put out a video once a week based on 25 years of real-world green industry experience. Now, we're 5 plants into the video and we've covered sun plants and we've covered shade plants, but the next plant pulls double duty and not just for hummingbirds. Number 6 on the list is milkweed. And not only is milkweed a hummingbird attractor plant, it is also the only plant that the monarch butterfly can lay its eggs on. So when you plant milkweed, you're not just attracting hummingbirds with those nectar-rich clusters of flowers, you're actively supporting the monarch butterfly population. And the science backs it up. Monarch populations have declined by over 80% in the past 2 decades. And habitat loss is the primary driver. Full sun, USDA zones 3 through 9, you're not only attracting hummingbirds, but you're also helping out the monarch butterfly population as well. Number 7 on the list is Liatris, or blazing star. And visually, there's nothing else on the list that compares to it. Those tall, narrow, purple flower spikes open from the top down, which is the opposite of most spiked flower plants. And the hummingbirds work those spikes methodically, moving from flower to flower. Here's what I really love about Liatris. It is a native plant. It's tough as nails, and it's deer resistant. In my 25 years of installing landscapes, deer resistance is one of the top 3 requests I get from homeowners. And Liatris delivers on that front, while still also being a hummingbird magnet. Full sun, well-drained soils, USDA zones 3 through 9, and it blooms from mid to late summer, which is peak hummingbird season. Number 8 is just starting to wake up for me here in terms of flowering in midsummer, but this is Yarrow from the genus Echinacea. And Yarrow is what I call a workhorse of a plant. Those flat top clusters of tiny flowers may not look like traditional hummingbird flowers, but hummingbirds visit them for the sheer volume of nectar they produce. Another reason that Yarrow makes the list, it is one of the toughest, most drought-tolerant perennials you can plant. I've seen Yarrow survive landscapes that get absolutely 0 supplemental irrigation, in poor soils, in the baking sun, and it just keeps on blooming. And the science backs it up. Yarrow has a deep taproot and it can access water that other plants cannot. USDA zones 3 through 9, full sun, and blooms from early to midsummer into the early fall. Number 9 on our list is this monstrosity of a plant here. This is Russian sage from the genus Pervoschia. And if you want a cloud of color while also attracting hummingbirds, Russian sage is the choice for you. Those airy spikes of lavender blue flowers appear in midsummer and just keep going and going until the first frost. Here's what I really love about Russian sage. It is aromatic. The silver foliage that is deer resistant and rabbits completely ignore, that's a bonus. And in my experience, any plant that is deer resistant, rabbit resistant, and also attracts hummingbirds, well, that's just worth its weight in gold. Full sun, USDA zones 4 through 9, and once established, is extremely drought tolerant. Also a bonus about Russian sage, as you can see here, the bumblebees absolutely love this plant as well. Number 10 on our list is Sedum, in particular upright cultivars like Sedum Autumn Joy. The reason that Sedum makes the list is because of timing. Most perennials have their peak bloom during midsummer. Sedum has its peak bloom during the fall. This peak bloom cycle times up perfectly with the hummingbird migration. The large, flat-top flower heads start as pink in the summer and transition to a deep rust color as fall approaches. And hummingbirds will work those flower heads relentlessly. I've seen this play out time and time again. A sedum in full bloom in September will have hummingbirds visiting it every 15 to 20 minutes throughout the day. Full sun, USDA zones 3 through 9. And a pro tip for you, during the winter, leave the seed heads on your sedum. This provides winter interest in the landscape and also provides food for the birds that did not migrate for the winter. Number 11 on our list is Gladiolas. And I know what some of you are thinking. Dr. Warren, aren't Gladiolas kind of old-fashioned? Yeah, they are, but those tubular shaped flowers, those are absolute hummingbird magnets. Gladiolas come in colors that hummingbirds love, including reds, oranges, and pinks. But here's what I really love about Gladiolas, and it's something that no other plant on this list has to offer. They make exceptional cut flowers. You can plant a row of Gladiolas in your garden, attract hummingbirds all summer, and then cut the spikes, bring them indoors for arrangements. That's a 2-for-1 value that I think is hard to beat. Now I want to be honest with you about something. Gladiolas need staking. Those tall flower spikes get top heavy and a strong wind will lay them flat. In zone 7A or colder, you'll need to lift the crowns out of the ground in the fall and store them indoors. But if you're willing to do that work, the payoff is worth it. Full sun, well-drained soils, and if you're willing to dig up the corms, you can stagger plant them in the spring and you'll have blooms that go all summer long. Number 12 on our list is butterfly bush, or Buddleia davidi. And I need to address something before we dive into this plant. In many parts of the country, the straight species of Buddleia davidi is highly invasive and outcompetes native plants. And a lot of nurseries still sell the straight species, but here's where things get interesting. Plant breeders have developed sterile, non-invasive cultivars that produce flowers and none of the seeds. Look for the Lo and Behold series or the Miss series, Miss Molly, Miss Ruby, Miss Violet. They are approved as non-invasive in states that have restrictions, and they are just as attracted to hummingbirds and butterflies as the original. This particular cultivar is Miss Molly, and the hummingbirds and the bees absolutely love it. USDA zones 5 through 9 and in full sun. Number 13 on the list is Lantana camera, also known as common lantana. And this is where I need to be very precise with you. In zones 9 through 11, lantana is a hardy perennial. However, in zones 8 and zone 7, cultivar selection is everything. And this is important. There's a cultivar called Miss Huff that you're looking at here. It is significantly more cold hardy than the standard lantana. Gardeners in zone 7B and 7A have reported Miss Huff surviving winter and coming back strong. And I've even seen this play out myself. Miss Huff, planted in a protected microclimate on a south-facing wall, can survive winters that kill any other lantana. And here's what I really love about lantana. Those clusters of tiny tubular flowers in multicolor combinations are hummingbird and butterfly magnets. And the bloom period is extraordinary. They start in late spring and will flower all the way to the first frost. Full sun, extremely drought and heat tolerant. And in colder zones, if Miss Huff doesn't survive for you, treat it as an annual. The hummingbird and butterfly display will be more than worth the replacement cost. The last plant on our list is Echinacea purpurea, or the purple coneflower. And the reason I saved it for last is because this plant does absolutely everything. Those large daisy-like flowers with prominent orange-bronze central cones are hummingbird magnets. They are butterfly and bee magnets as well. All of this at the same time. And the bloom period, well, it's midsummer through fall. That's exceptional. Another thing I love about Echinacea, it is a native to North America. It's drought tolerant, it's deer resistant, and it's hardy from USDA zones 3 through 9. And it's one of the more adaptable plants I've ever worked with. I've planted Echinacea in clay soils, sandy soils, rich lawns. It doesn't care, it just performs. And if you leave the seed head standing through winter, golden finches will perch on them and pick the seeds out. So you get hummingbirds in the summer, songbirds in the winter, and pollinators also during the spring and summer. That is what I call a plant that earns its keep. The only downside to Echinacea is what you're seeing here on these flowers. This is known as aster yellowing. There's no cure for it. It's a virus that's in the soil, and once Echinacea has it, there's only one thing that's going to happen to them. Slowly but surely, they're not going to exist anymore. There you have it, 14 perennials guaranteed to attract hummingbirds to your yard. If you have a perennial that you use in your yard to attract hummingbirds, and we did not talk about it in this film, leave that down in the comments below. Guys, as always, thank you for watching A Plant Doctor, and until next time, happy gardening.